What's going on, folks, and welcome to another episode, of the Jake and Joe Postgame Show presented by First Star Logistics. Still on the YouTube page open, which is a mistake that I have made before.
Dramatic
The
effect.
Bengals win. How about that, Joe? Looked like it was going to be just every other Bengals game we've seen this year against a halfway decent team. And then it wasn't. This post-game show presented by First Star Logistics is where you will have a chance to win one of those Bengals Xboxes that you can see on the screen right now. The hashtag to win is hashtag First Star Logistics. You can enter that once for a chance to win that Bengals-themed Xbox. We'll also be announcing later in the show the winner from Twitter, from X, the giveaway there. Make sure you're following at First Star Log on Twitter to see all the details there for your chances to win. Next week, we got some pretty cool stuff as well. Next week, we've got this Bengals jukebox with a Bluetooth speaker for you.
And there's one of those because they are, let me tell you, I know those things are expensive to be customized like that.
We will, as Joe mentioned, have one of those to give away. You got to live in the United States. Make sure you're in the United States to enter that one. And some really cool stuff that we get to give away here every week. Only have to enter it once at hashtag First Star Logistics in the chat. Joe, you were starting to talk because I set you up. We have big takeaways, obviously, to start with. The Bengals still alive in a game that looked so much like every game we've seen them play against a halfway decent or better team this year until it wasn't.
And we've said that how many times in a post-game show that this game has encapsulated their entire season and encapsulated so many of their performances this year. Uneven, risky decisions, or not risky, but that didn't work in their favor. Coming down to the line, epic collapses on defense and special teams, offense failing in key situations, and then you need them at the end, either defense, offense all year, and special teams. Who's going to come through? Is anyone going to come through? It was a mixed all around. I mean, clearly you miss a extra point seemingly to end the game, but it's close enough to be an extra point. It's a chip shot by Cade York. He yanks it. Defense somehow holds again when the Broncos are just willing. That's a big part here. Just willing to tie the game. They just can't lose it. And their season is finished. They're going into the playoffs and it's all good. Instead, the Bengals hold, get the ball back to Joe Burrow, who him and T. Higgins, two big plays at the end, the deep ball, leaving no doubt, go for one of them is my feeling when they first got this ball back. I'm like, Burrow, just take one shot here. Let's not keep everything underneath, leave it to special teams again. Crazy catch by T, goes right back to him. They're not running the ball. They're not going to run it and kick it. Right back to T. Higgins, one-on-one, isolated. Huge moment for T in that game at home, maybe his last one. Huge MVP-like performance out of Joe Burrow, especially in the clutch at the end there. Awesome experience. Fun, heartbreaking. I probably lost 3 years at the end of my life, but fun.
I yelled. So that was exciting. I didn't realize how invested I still was in this season. That is still a long shot. Like, even after winning this game, what is it, like 10% at best with the knowledge that Indianapolis and Miami are probably down their quarterbacks this weekend, which is a big deal and matters, but then you need Denver to lose when they're trying to still win to get into the playoffs against Kansas City. That's locked up the 1 seed. So, like, the playoff path is still real tough, but they control what they can control. And that's what I know you talked about on your show this week. We talked about it on our show this week as well, leading into this game. And they, instead of doing what they've done all year in these moments, managed to clutch up enough. They made that one play on both sides of the ball, whether that's getting the 3 and out, getting Denver to the 3rd and 6 on the first overtime possession where Mike Hilton makes a tackle on Marvin Mims in the flat. And if he doesn't make that tackle, who knows what happens. Then sets up the 3rd and 6 where Bo Nix just airmails a guy. And sometimes rookies are going to do that. Sometimes other teams will make mistakes, won't make the plays, but you put yourself in a position to be able to get off the field with a great play on 2nd down there and a run stop on 1st down from BJ Hill and McKinley Jackson. The next drive, where at this point Denver has screwed up already. We'll get to the Bengals clock management, but the Broncos calling timeouts. I assume Sean Payton didn't know that all he needed was a tie. I don't know why he's calling timeouts there. When the Bengals are driving, you want as much time gone as possible, because if you get the ball back and you're the Broncos,
Yep.
You want
Less
the
time too.
Bengals
Yep.
to have less time. You want less time to have to burn to get to a tie. The Broncos making their own colossal time management mistakes in overtime. We'll get to the Bengals, like I said, but the Bengals defense on that drive, getting the run stop, getting the screen stop, Josh Newton coming up to get Marvin Mims in the backfield, and then again getting to a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 situation where Bo Nix throws incomplete. And Bo Nix didn't look good in this game. They did a pretty good job there. He had a couple of moments, don't get me wrong, and I'm sure we'll talk about those as well. There were some crazy moments in this game in the second half, but for the most part, the Bengals were making the plays. The Bengals defense in particular had, I thought, a fairly impressive game. And then they had 2 meltdowns on specific plays that were, one of them, I have a huge issue with the play call. We'll talk about that one, the Marvin Mims first touchdown, the 67 air yards pass. But where do we go next on those topics, Joe? I just laid a lot out there.
I think we go with the way both teams started the game. Number one, the Broncos, I think, electing to kick a field goal on their first drive could be the difference in this game here. Is the Bengals were the complete opposite later or on their ensuing drive and throughout the game, staying aggressive, going for it, pushing the ball. It didn't work out in the first 2 times. A lot of people, that's why you take the points, because of close games. I think we saw Cade York on that short field goal. You can't have the most confidence in that guy. We've seen him miss kicks throughout this year in the 4 games it's been. Whether it's an extra point or even last week, an easy kick, again, probably similar distance to what this one was to end the game. And so I didn't have faith that he would have made all 3 kicks early to start this game. I would have said 2 out of 3 may be reasonable. The first 2 were short. The last one would have been long. So let's say 2 out of 3. If you go down and get 7 points out of those 3 drives, it means you came ahead. And the chance to be far ahead is worth the risk on those 4th downs. I'm always going to be go for it on 4th down. I think you're crazy if you take the points unless it's take the point situation, end of half, end of game, or to tie it up. And so in my opinion, I thought good decisions by Zach there. Bad decisions, and the criticism should be centered on the time management at the end of the game.
I also think let's talk about those 4th downs a little bit before we get to time management, because let's look at one of these 4th downs in particular. I have still images here. These aren't videos, but I went back and I watched this play again because people are saying a couple of things about this play. One, you're taking it out of Joe Burrow's hands. This is the fullback dive to Chase Brown. This is the second 4th down, I think, right? Is this the second one or the first one?
First one.
This is the first one. So they handed off to Chase Brown on 3rd and 2. Yeah, this is the first one. They handed off to Chase Brown again on 4th and they called it 1. I guess that's 1. The initial point that I saw was why you take it out of Joe's hands. The second point was, if you want to run the ball, why aren't you running the QB sneak here? Looking at this space here between Ted Karras and Cody Ford, and only one defensive tackle really in that A gap. And then the third point is, well, what are we doing with this call? I mean, to me, this is too cute. This if you want to try to play power
Chase in the backfield, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with Chase Brown at fullback, like if you want to try to run this power stuff, just put Drew Sample back there and just run a traditional I formation ISO kind of play.
Yeah. Brandy was doing that early in the game. It felt like that was his role.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, and put Drew Sample on the line. Whatever it is, like this is too much. And so okay, so let's talk about things that we can see on the play, and then we'll talk about taking the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands here. First, this is like right after the snap. So this QB sneak idea, this is going to be a difficult QB sneak. Yeah, Joe can probably read this, and this defensive tackle has really crashed down into that A gap. So the defensive tackle that's kind of the 3 tech here has really just rammed into Ted at center. So they're taking away the A gaps. But Burrow has run plenty of QB sneaks in his life. He probably sees that and can take that stuff around the guard. So maybe the QB sneak is still the right call there if you want to run the ball, right? The second element of this that I wonder about is that the design just has no effect on the unblocked defender that comes in and makes a tackle. Because what happens is Nick Bonito, who you can't really see here, Nick Bonito's up here on the right end. He's going to be unblocked on the play because they want this fake pitch to Jamar that's going to happen to occupy that edge defender. But nobody besides Patrick Surtain, who, of course, is watching Jamar Chase closely, is reacting to Jamar Chase in this fake pitch that's happening. Everybody is reacting to where the ball goes.
Can I add one more point to this? Burrow
Yeah.
probably has options at the line here, and he could probably move Jamar out and throw a bubble screen or something. I would think, because he typically very often has 2 plays at the line, and he can pick run or pass. So I wonder how much control he had here. And I would like this play more if Burrow's in shotgun or pistol. It takes away the QB sneak again, and we hate when the quarterback's not under center on short yardage. But you would get the option of handing it to Chase Brown, or maybe flipping it to Jamar Chase here. And I like the odds.
Of which one?
Chase, flipping it to Jamar Chase. If you hit this and you're probably reading Benito crashes, and I'm throwing it to Jamar.
Yeah, but there's no, if you're in pistol, then you can.
Right, if you switch this up a little bit.
Yeah. And they do run a couple of cool options later in this game.
They do,
which is
credit.
Probably too much in the weeds for the conversation right now. But there's like a cool shovel option that they run where it's a triple option effectively with a shovel going on with Chase Brown and Jamar Chase, and that was a pretty cool play. And then they run that speed option that is a big run for Khalil Herbert in overtime. But let's get back to the end of regulation time management from the Cincinnati Bengals. Denver Broncos have 1 timeout, and you have just converted a 3rd down to Jamar Chase to the 6-yard line. There's a minute 39 left, and you hand the ball to Chase Brown. Instead of taking a knee, you hand the ball to Chase Brown on 1st and 6. And Chase Brown, Zach's probably thinking, you get 2 yards, and he goes down. It's a run up the middle.
It's how the runs have been. Yeah.
And Chase Brown bounces it outside. And to Chase Brown's credit, goes down.
After running out of bounds and probably hearing about it real quickly, a couple of plays earlier, he probably was conscious of time and said, you know what, I'm just going to go down awkwardly, and it leads to an ankle injury.
Which was a mistake for him to go out of bounds, don't get me wrong. But then, he's trying to do the right thing. Unlucky, gets hurt. And as a result, instead of Denver having to take a timeout there, after which point the Bengals could take the clock from 140 down to 20 before kicking the field goal, because they can run 40 seconds. It's probably more than that, honestly, because the plays take time too. You take a 2-second knee, so it's probably like 44. It's probably like 90 seconds, almost 90 seconds can come off the clock there, depending on the plays they call. And then the game is over. And even after that, though,
maybe over 15 seconds, let's say the Broncos would have and need a field goal. That's the option there. Right.
And you start on the 30 now, so it's easier. So your options are, after that injury, kneel it and try to kick a field goal with about 40 seconds left, because Denver gets a timeout, and then you can kick a field goal. Probably Cade York makes that. You're literally on the 2-3 yard line then, after a couple of knees.
Old extra point.
Probably Cade York makes that. Or you try to score a touchdown, and you say Denver needs to score a touchdown now they go for a sneak, so they obviously plan on scoring on that play with a minute 30 left. So you either give the Denver Broncos the ball back with no timeouts, needing a field goal in 40 seconds with a good kicker, or you say you need to score a touchdown with a minute 30. Honestly, that's not the easiest decision.
You either do it on 1st down, right? You start it with 1st down and say, what's the situation? We get them down to 15 to 20 seconds. We're up by 3 with no timeouts. It's either that on 1st down or score. And once that happens, unfortunate with Chase Brown getting injured leads to an unfortunate scoring on the next play on the QB sneak. You could at least gotten a timeout out of that, which may have ended the game on the Broncos drive the way they needed that last timeout, after getting caught in bounds a couple of times. So it was either on 1st down, you make that decision, or you score a touchdown afterwards, in my opinion.
I think that the injury to Chase Brown really changes the calculus, though, because if he doesn't get hurt, then they do just kneel it down and they take the field goal. Like Zach's done that before. We've seen him do that before. But at that point, then the decision making is literally try to score a touchdown, and the only option is to run the ball. And you just lost Chase Brown. Your only option
you want
is
to give it to Herbert.
Yeah. Your only option is to run the ball. You want to trust Joe Burrow there. Because if he doesn't get in, if he gets stuffed, the clock runs. They have to take a timeout. Fine. Or you take a knee and you're kicking a field goal with 40 seconds left. So your choice is 40 seconds needing a field goal or a minute 30 needing a touchdown. That is not as cut and dry as you would think. And they land on the side of, well, let's make him go score a touchdown. which it's honestly
a low
after they get to
percentage
that
fourth
point,
and one, low percentage catch, crazy catch, one of the best catches of the year, lowest percentage probably play in probably next gen for the season, and maybe the biggest swing in point differential. And or who's expected to win at that point, right?
Yeah. Huge. Yeah, from
huge
like
swing.
3% to 50%. I mean, yeah. The decision though after that point wasn't the worst decision. The problem is that it can start earlier than that. You could just decide to take a knee on first down. You're guaranteeing those 2 timeouts to come off. You're guaranteeing the clock to be down to the 20-second or so mark. And then if it's 20 seconds needing a field goal or less versus a minute 30 needing a touchdown, that is a little bit easier. You probably take the field goal side of that one, because Denver needs then to get like 30 yards and stop the clock.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think we've sometimes the injury, or you just got to play it quickly. And we've seen, I was thinking of the week 17 Chiefs game 2021, where the Bengals were like just pounding Burrow up the center on a QB sneak a few times and then hitting the field goal with Evan McPherson to beat the Chiefs. You remember that game? And I think he did it again against the Titans 2022 at the end.
Well, and in that Chiefs game, didn't they get like an extra set of downs as well from a penalty in the end zone? So they got to run like 6 plays or something.
They did. They really drained the clock, but their whole objective there was drain the clock. But Taylor has had some issues with this, and that's not just unique to Taylor. You watch NFL around the league, coaches fumble these decisions, or maybe they're just easy to nitpick afterwards because the game got crazy after that point. You don't expect them to score on that 4th and 1. You don't expect to miss the field goal in overtime and then get another stop in overtime and then catch a crazy bomb down the sideline. And then, so a lot of crazy events happened afterwards, which allows us to go back and say, you know what, that management is suboptimal.
And I understand why the decisions were made that were made. When we actually break it down, like that actually helps me to put it into perspective, because the knee-jerk reaction is, it's terrible clock management. Of course you run the clock down. But after the injury occurs, where, again, they could have taken a knee and avoided all of this risk, and that can be a valid criticism. But after that injury occurs, I don't have a huge problem with them trying to score there, because that's where the decision is. Either we might be giving them the ball back with a minute 30 needing a touchdown, or 40 seconds needing a field goal. And that is a more difficult decision, I think, than most people are thinking it would have been.
And I'd like to flip it to T. Higgins and Mike Gesicki, both having crazy days. And it's funny because everyone had mistakes today, and I want to get that first. Burrow had mistakes. Jamar Chase had drops. Mike Gesicki had what I thought was too deep of a route into the end zone, which should have probably put them up big, or at least by 2 scores.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, because
the depth,
it would be a weird miss for Joe. So what I tweeted at the time was, that's a weird, uncharacteristic miss for Joe Burrow if Mike Gesicki ran that route at the right depth. That was,
it felt like he was too deep, in my opinion, about a yard deep, which made sense by just how much he missed that by.
And also, if Joe just throws it into the end zone, you're then throwing it beyond the line to gain, which is arguably good.
T. Higgins had a major fumble. Joe Burrow missed some throws as well. Took some sacks he probably shouldn't have, or would have liked to have gotten out of, or maybe found the guy that was coming open. Everyone made mistakes today. But T. Higgins at the end, Mike Gesicki at the end, big 3rd down conversions. Mike Gesicki, career high, tied 10 receptions today, 86 yards. Jamar Chase goes 9 for 102. T. Higgins goes 11 for 131 and 3 touchdowns. Is this the biggest game in T. Higgins' Bengals career? The Super Bowl is huge. I'm thinking of that Titans game in 2022 without Jamar Chase, where he was huge in that game, acting as a number 1 receiver. Those are probably the 3 I think of: the Super Bowl, this game, that Titans game, for T. Higgins on career, achievements for the Bengals. This one being in Cincinnati, potentially his last game. What a send-off. What a moment for him to watch him do that and have such a huge game at the end.
Yeah, and let's take a look at his first touchdown here, because I actually really like how they schemed this up. It was an awesome game for T. Higgins, a number of standout moments, insane catch for him. That was a number of insane catches for him. His first touchdown is probably his least impressive, and apologies if this sound comes through, and I've done everything I can to mute it on my end, but I don't have all the normal options that I would have. But the thing I love about this play is they motion T over, and you know exactly what you're getting at this point from a
Mm-hmm.
coverage perspective. And the concept is just so simple, but it isolates T. Higgins one-on-one with a corner that just cannot hang with T. Higgins one-on-one on a slant in this situation. And as soon as you get that, it looks so easy because it is so easy.
He knows where he's going now, right? Like Joe knows I'm flipping and I'm throwing this to T on the slant.
This is so easy for everyone involved. And as soon as that linebacker runs, so this is called dragging, where you have a slant and a flat. The slant from T, the flat from Chase Brown here. This
or
linebacker
it could be from Gesicki if in other plays.
It could be. Yep. Yeah, there's other ways to get to dragon, but dragon is just a slant flat route combination, and you're reading essentially, is there somebody that's actually taking the inside of the slant away? If so, the flat is probably a good option. And the way this works out is right here. Gesicki's clearing out, so this guy isn't going to be a problem. Joe's not even really worried here, I think, because Jamar Chase is up here, so the safety's opening his hips at the top of the field where there's two receivers. And I mean, there's no
Chase Brown.
There's no thought here. This is the easiest touchdown of your life if you're Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. It's catch and throw, easy stuff. T. Higgins deciding to not go for the dunk. But I just wanted to shout out really the play call there. That is good design on a day where the Bengals struggled in the red zone. And they did figure it out on this one, and then the late touchdown to T as well. But that was good design on that play.
Yeah, the red zone is I'll spend my film review watching the red zone because I feel like the game was won and lost, maybe 25 and in, because there was even a few plays there where they failed early in the game where I thought, these are the calls. And I think Joe Burrow talked about it. Maybe it was Hard Knocks, it might have been on a press conference, but I remember him saying, we really got to focus on red zone this week, make sure we've got red zone taken care of.
Yeah. The next touchdown we can look at here, boy, did Riley Moss have a terrible game, which is hilarious for me and those that follow me, because Dan Orlovsky this week tweeted, if Riley Moss plays, I think Denver wins. If he doesn't play, I think Cincinnati wins. And
which is
every
wild.
time, I know he makes a big difference to the Denver defense, don't get me wrong.
And
this
good.
is T. Higgins and Jamar Chase we're talking about.
Right.
This isn't, average NFL wide receiver 1 and 2. These are two of the best receivers in the NFL. And boy, did the Bengals pick on Riley Moss in this game. I had at one point looked at the numbers for Riley Moss. Let me see if I can pull them up here real quick before we look at another play. Riley Moss was targeted 13 times in this game by Joe Burrow. He gave up 9 catches on those targets. This is according to PFF charting, for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns, and one of them being the decisive touchdown. Let's take a look at that one as I pull it back onto the screen. Man, T. Higgins had an awesome game. This was probably his best catch of the day. I take that back. His second best catch of the day.
He had a great one at the end.
But this was awesome, and I love that the broadcast, Trent Green, pointed out the late hands aspect here. So let's let this play go. This is just Joe Burrow knowing that T. Higgins on a little stutter go gets a little bite and just a late hands, because Riley Moss is in good position there, but he just has no idea that ball is coming. As
pinpoint accuracy, late hands
loop. Yeah, I mean, let's watch it again. Let's slow it down. I love to slow these down. Man, we have a lot to talk about today, Joe.
So the target for
so many things.
Joe Burrow, if you don't know, is as simple as he's trying to hit this back orange pylon that's in the corner. Okay, if he can lay it there, depending on where the coverage is and which way this is where he throws it. Tell me if this would have hit the pylon. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, what a throw, because he wants to hit this in the back. And man, it would have been close. Maybe a little inside. Close. It would have been super close. That gives T. Higgins the chance to slowly, he's letting the defender stay within, right? And he's not going too early by making it too obvious when the ball's coming. The corner has no idea when the ball's coming. So late hands, you want to be as late as possible before you stick them up and just grab them, or let it drip right over your shoulder and catch it in the basket. And that way the defender never gets a chance to even knock it away.
This is an awesome throw. This is an awesome play from T. This is when he starts to show his hands.
Yeah. Too late for the corner to get his hand up.
The ball is a foot from being on top of Riley Moss's head. A really good corner can make a play on this ball. You've seen that happen. We've seen that.
Sure, but he's got to be in position now.
Yeah.
Or it's after the catch, right? And he punches
Riley
it out.
Moss is guessing.
Yes, you see the hand right there. Yep.
And there's just no chance. And like doesn't even get T doing a good job of keeping it away from the defender there after he brings it in with the late hands to prevent any raking of that ball out of his hands. T. Higgins had an awesome game today, despite the fumble, despite the false start, bouncing back from those to catch a game-winning touchdown, and that sideline ball, which I don't have a video of, unfortunately.
Incredible.
But boy, was that just incredible as well.
We got 5 minutes. I want to make sure everyone knows First Star Logistics, hashtag in the comments. We've got the Bengals wrapped Xbox One X. That's what I mostly game on, even though my son got a PS5 for Christmas this year. So he's making the switch, I think.
There you go. Very important video to get to here, Joe, before we talk about the defense a little bit as well.
The gritty. Oh, okay. Actually did not watch. I wish they would have put that on the bottom. I want to see the whole thing. There's got to be a good clip of it somewhere. I bet the Bengals post it.
You got to see the footwork. That's the most important part of the gritty.
Hilarious, though.
I learned when I tried to learn the gritty dance. And my thoughts on this at the time were, what's better? Joe Burrow hitting a gritty and Denver getting the ball back with a chance to tie the game, or Cade York kicking a field goal with 40 seconds left. Tough choice.
Yeah, I guess the gritty being on top of it helps that decision. Do you want to see him gritty or not? Come on, that's analytics.
That's part of having the fun with the season that we've been talking about, though, Joe. Is these moments are the moments that I'll remember from this season. That's going to be a big one. Let's talk about this defense a little bit before we get to our giveaway, Joe. And the defense on the day, a little bit unlucky in some ways, and a couple of issues. One of which I want a couple plays I want to look at here, but they forced 2 fumbles and recovered neither, which is a bit unlucky. Pretty good plays on both of the forced fumbles, and they get this awesome interception from Jermaine Pratt. And
playoff
this one,
Pratt, right?
Credit Joseph Osai.
For sure.
Here. Joseph Osai hits the arm, I think, and this is a terrible decision from Bo Nix either way, most likely, but I'm 99% sure that
he hit the follow through for sure, which made that ball die.
So when I watched it, I thought it was during the throw, but let's see if we can see it here. I'm just starting it in slow-mo.
It's a great play by.
He hits it before I think the ball is done. I think he hits it like as he's like just before he's going to release the ball. That's what it looked like to me on the other angle that the broadcast showed from the back. Regardless, this ball is thrown to 2 Bengals defenders. Like there's no way that's fitting here anyway, if this is where he's trying to go with it. But Jermaine Pratt making the diving catch to deprive the Broncos of an opportunity after the Bengals offense did not make the plays. And that's where it's looked so much like so many games we've seen from the Bengals this year. But this game, we saw the defense make the plays in the complementary football aspect of things, where this gives the Bengals a ball near midfield now, where they could have had to deal with an entire field in just one timeout because the Bengals timeout usage in the second half was atrocious, calling 2 timeouts after change of down and distance scenarios where Zach Taylor couldn't get a play in. But awesome play here for Joe Osai and Jermaine Pratt.
Yeah, because I just want to say Pratt, is for all the frustrations we've had, and there's been a ton, this could be Pratt's last home game in Cincinnati for a guy who's made a lot of clutch plays and clutch moments. The end zone angle shows him drifting and running, feeling maybe Sutton behind him or just reading Bo Nix's eyes, but he's definitely vacating his middle and flowing with the play. And you got to be there to make the play, and he does.
And he's catching a lot of heat in our comments right now. We'll see what the film has to say. We'll see what all that says. According to PFF's initial round of grading, he was the top graded player for the Cincinnati Bengals in this game with 4 defensive stops. He gave up 4 catches on 5 targets, but for just 29 yards to go along with the interception. Trey Hendrickson, Cedric Johnson, Josh Newton, the others at the top.
Cedric Johnson, he's flashed a couple times the last 2 weeks. He looks quick. He closes very, very fast. There's both times today. I'm like, okay, he beats his man. Oh my God, he's on the quarterback already.
He makes those awesome hustle plays. And we saw that again in this game. The other plays that I wanted to look at on defense, really there's one. This one is going to be a negative. I mean, we can look at the Hail Mary essentially too, if you want, but we're also quite low on time. But this is a getting got play calling issue to me.
Yeah,
this is going to be a play where the Bengals end up rushing 3 on a shot play, and the 3 that they rush, as Joseph Osai is already, I think that's Osai, it might be Cedric Johnson, is already off the ball. He's not coming. So you got BJ Hill, McKinley Jackson, Jay Tufele.
Great.
That's your plan on this play. You're expecting quick game here. If you call this play, if you're Lou Anarumo, you're expecting something where you want to drop into windows and force Bo Nix to hesitate, but there's nobody that's getting home anyway. You're dropping Trey Hendrickson out on this play, and what's going to end up happening is Marvin Mims just going to run a little skinny, split your safeties, and be faster than them.
Yeah.
And this is essentially letting Bo Nix play 7-on-7. That's why I hate this play call. We're going to play 7-on-7 on this play.
And the speed of Marvin Mims versus the speed of Battle and Stone, complete mismatch here. Mims is fast.
I mean, look at the platform from which Bo Nix is throwing. I mean, there's nobody within 7 yards of this guy. All right. So fine. And then we get back here where you have 2 deep safeties. And I didn't see what the corners are doing. Let's see if we can see what the corners are doing.
It was the quarters, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I guess it might be. It's really hard to tell because nothing else is going deep.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, you have 2 high safeties that just get split, and then there's just they're so slow in this situation. If you can't get pressure in this spot when you're dropping 8, and they know that you're going to potentially leave the middle of the field open in this spot, and you're calling this shot play here, you got bad on this play. On a day that was generally, I'm pretty up on the defense on this game.
Yes.
But this was a rough one.
I don't know how many plays they had in total. If it was 60 plays, let's say on average on defense, and I felt like 50 of them, they were good. Mm-hmm. You know, it was just a few third downs, a few couldn't, get the sack in time. And the pass rush did its job in key moments early in the game. The game should have been at one point, I felt like 21-3, but it wasn't. It was still closer than it needed to be because of the offensive failures. But the defense couldn't hold on in the second half. Those 2 long touchdowns do not need to happen. Shouldn't happen. It's what's keeping them from being an average defense down the road here to end the season. They should be at least average, but those big plays this week are just the backbreaker and what kept the game close.
They also had some major problems getting the run stopped, especially in the second half.
They were selling out, right? Would you agree they were like blitzing these guys and slanting the D line?
Yeah, they've been doing that all year. That's I mean, I think I've described it before. To me, it's they have to gamble every single play on defense, and if they guess wrong, stuff like that play we just watched can happen, and that's how they end up giving up all these explosives. Let's take this opportunity to give people one last chance. 473 of you have entered the giveaway for that Bengals themed Xbox that we're showing on the sidebar there. If you want a chance to enter, this is the last call to enter that
Twitter
hashtag.
One first.
First Star Logistics. We will give away we will announce our Twitter winner as well in just a couple minutes. A couple final stats here on the day. Outside of the run issues with the defense, I thought the pressure really did disappear too often at times as well. Like it was good in the 2-minute drill at the end of the first half.
Agree.
They got pressure in some key moments, but on the day overall for Bo Nix, just 28% of his dropbacks were pressured according to PFF charting.
This is one of the top O-lines also.
Yes, that is true. That is true. One of the better pass blocking offensive lines in the NFL. And Trey Hendrickson, I thought, was pretty good against a good left tackle in Garrett Bowles. Warned before the game that this is one of the heaviest play action and screen teams in the NFL. 41% of the passing plays for the Broncos in this game were either play action plays or screen plays. The Bengals actually did a heck of a job on screen plays. 6 screen plays for the Broncos went for just 18 total yards, which I think you take every time if you're the Bengals. Joe Burrow, some stats to stand out to me here. 1, only pressured on 18% of his dropbacks according to PFF. Wow. I have a hard time thinking that is going to hold up to their second pass.
Probably going to go higher.
But there were also some pressured plays that were erased by penalties, so that could be part of it. We'll be interested to see what that one looks like after the game. The Bengals using more play action in this game than we're used to, especially early. They had a couple of productive plays there, but did not look like something Joe Burrow was very comfortable with. On the day, he finishes 5 for 7 for 90 and a touchdown, so he did end up having a big play on play action, and now I'm trying to remember which one it was. I assume it was a T. Higgins touchdown, but I don't remember that being play action.
No. Chase had a big one at the end, and I thought that was play action, right? When he comes across the middle. Burrow scrambles out.
The one that he catches and runs? Yeah. Oh, also, man, the best throw of the day I thought for Joe Burrow was that 3rd and 9 where he's scrambling and he's about to get crushed by, I think it's Benito, and Benito pulls up and he hits Chase on the sideline there. He thinks he has room to run and he realizes, oh, I don't have room to run, and he very quickly makes a decision.
Quick adjustment.
Very underrated throw.
Yoshi had a big touchdown that was called back because Gesicki was unsure of who went on motion first and then didn't get set. So a lot of mistakes on guys.
I was so mad about that.
Jamar Chase drops a touchdown. I wanted to make sure I remembered which mistake he was early in the game and not leave that out. But yeah, that could have been huge day for Yoshi. I thought a couple nice third down conversions, but he already had career high in yards. That could have been a 100-yard game there.
Yeah, it could have been 3 100-yard receivers. Or did the Bengals end up because Joe Burrow ends up converting on the third down, third and like 13 scramble.
He runs right
on that one. Joe Burrow in this game also attempts 3 total passes aimed 20 or more yards downfield and was a perfect 3 for 3 on those passes for 69 yards. So not a ton of catch and run on those plays in this game. 23 yards per attempt though on your deep shots in this game. Really good. 8 for 12 in the intermediate part of the field. 0 turnover worthy plays for Joe Burrow in this game after we had some fumbling issues or some errant throw issues the last couple of weeks. He wasn't perfect. He looked a little bit skittish in the pocket to me early in this game, but he settled in and played in general a fantastic game, especially the way he finished with those throws to T. Higgins down the stretch, who, like you said, Joe, had an awesome game for himself. I think that's all I got for players and stats that I wanted to shout out. You got anything else, or do we get to the giveaways?
No, I went to my mistakes. I usually think about the mistakes and make plays I forget I didn't mention, and mistakes I didn't mention. So I got to those. So I'm happy. Let's get to the giveaway. The first one on Twitter, if you want to start with that.
First one on Twitter, that Bengals Xbox. Make sure you're following at First Star Log, First Star Logistics on Twitter for an opportunity to see all of the details about the giveaways and everything going on with the Jake and Joe postgame show. That winner is Joe.
Yeah, you got the next one. It's Papa Jeesh, I want to say, and goes by Jeeshua on Twitter, on X. Congratulations, Papa.
Congratulations to Papa Jeesh. We will make sure we're in touch. But if you're not sure or you don't hear, make sure you're checking the YouTube comments after the show is posted. There will be instructions there if you're not sure where you need to go to claim your prize. We also have to bring up our giveaway window here. We have, that's not helping to make this any bigger. I'm trying to zoom in. It's not working. We're going to stop trying. We're just going to hit the button here, and we're going to see who wins out of our 508 entrants on the Jake and Joe postgame show presented by First Star Logistics. The winner is Joe. Who we got?
Tyler Parsley. Tyler, congratulations. You won an Xbox One X courtesy of First Star Logistics.
Make sure you're checking out those YouTube comments for how you can claim your prize. Didn't get to nearly all of the topics I thought we could get to. Yeah. There's so much that we didn't get to talk about. Make sure you're checking out Joe's film review this week where he'll get into more of those details. Until then, thanks for watching this episode of the Jake and Joe postgame show presented by First Star Logistics, one of the fastest growing companies in the Cincinnati area, by the way. And if you're looking for work, make sure you check that out as well. Until next time, thanks for watching. Hooday. We'll see you next time.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team. Opportunity knocking.